Today from the global lane, Kim Jong Un launches another missile into the Sea of Japan. Is North Korea on the precipice of war?
Kim Jong Un believes that the United States is in global retreat and that essentially he can pretty much do what he wants.
Chaos and violence continue in Haiti. People are desperate to get out. Food and other relief can't get in. So who's in charge?
I don't think the country's being run at all. We need to pray. That's really the biggest thing that can be done, is to pray for peace in Haiti.
Noah's Ark and the Great Flood. A new movie uncovers the scientific evidence.
Noah's flood is real history. God judged the world in the past, and there's going to be a future judgment coming.
And as the UK bans puberty blockers, a Christian artist is reported to the police for voicing her opinion.
I was put upon by a crazy ideology and asked to agree with it. I can't in my sensible mind.
And it's all right here on the global lane. This week, North Korea launched a ballistic missile off its northern coast into the Sea of Japan. The missile launch came in response to recently concluded U.S.-South Korea joint military exercises, and it raises heightened concerns over the threat of a conflict with a nuclear-armed North Korea. Dale Hurd reports.
Is North Korean leader Kim Jong Un about to go to war with South Korea and the United States? Some experts think it's possible. Kim has ordered his military to prepare for the occupation of South Korea and is, according to some, engaged in frantic military development. And after South Korea and the United States began the Freedom Shield 24 exercises designed to deter a North Korean invasion, it only caused Kim to issue more threats of war. The task of North Korean experts has always been to try to separate bluster from real threats. And in the past, it's usually been bluster. Bong Young-shik at the Institute for North Korean Studies in Seoul says it's bluster, meant to undermine the current South Korean government from winning parliamentary elections in April. A disturbing report earlier this year by the respected 38 North website, however, indicates this time Kim may be serious. 38 North reports Kim Jong Un has made a strategic decision to go to war, because the communist government sees a window of opportunity to forcibly reunify the Korean peninsula. If the report is true, Asian expert Gordon Chang believes it would be part of a wider Asian war.
North Korea wouldn't go to war unless it got the approval of both Moscow and Beijing. So probably if North Korea were to attack South Korea, it would be in conjunction with China attacking Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, India.
Concerns about North Korea's nuclear program have grown in the past 2 years, as the North has test-launched missiles at a record pace and openly threatened to launch a nuclear attack on the United States. Chang does not necessarily agree that North Korea is preparing for war, but says if it is, the blame falls on the White House for appearing weak.
An important part of this article that I believe is absolutely true, and that is the authors maintain that Kim Jong Un believes that the United States is in global retreat and that essentially he can pretty much do what he wants. That is a very dangerous mentality. And this is a thinking that also affects Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. The United States needs to reestablish deterrence because at this moment, the bad actors think that they have a green light.
Kim Jong Un did something very strange a few weeks ago. While touring North Korea's impoverished countryside, he said publicly he's ashamed and sorry for neglecting the economy. It was very uncharacteristic of a leader with a reputation for being ruthless. It could mean Kim finally has a heart, or it could mean he knows a stronger economy will be needed if he's going to fight a war.
Dale Hurd joins us with more. Dale, what do you make of the North Korean ballistic missile launch this week? Is this a ramping up of tensions or more of the same?
It's hard to say. It's kind of the ballistic equivalent of blah, blah, blah. You know, we've had this shakedown scam for decades now that too many American presidents have fallen for. Give me money or I'm going to fire, more rockets and so forth. It's just really hard to tell. But as I tried to convey in my story, there is something that's different now.
Well, North Korea has acted differently in recent months. Gordon Chang said there could be a sense among the bad actors of the world that they only have a window of time before the sheriff comes back into town, until Donald Trump is back into office. So what difference would that make if he gets back in?
You know, people criticize Trump for going to meet with Kim and looking like he was buddy-buddy. But you know what Trump did? He forced Kim to grow up and be an adult, because they met face-to-face, and Kim couldn't pretend to be a boogeyman, you know, hiding in the background threatening war. They met face-to-face. He realized Trump was a man of his words. And things like the assassination of the Iranian General Soleimani, this sticks in the backs of the minds of some of these dictators, and they know that Trump is going to be much more active in defending American interests than Joe Biden has.
Well, how great is the North Korea threat to East Asia and the United States? Is it strong militarily? Is that just propaganda? What's the reality?
Yeah, that's hard to say. Ukraine says that half of the artillery shells that North Korea has given Russia for that battle, that war, have been duds. And we know that historically dictatorships, their militaries have not been as strong as they have said they have. It's just so hard to say, but we know because of the proximity of Seoul to the border with North Korea, even a faulty North Korean artillery is going to make a mess of Seoul. So war simply is out of the question for South Korea. And
what about the Chinese influence? I mean, some people say all roads to North Korea lead in and out of Beijing.
Yeah, that was a very interesting observation by Gordon Chang, that China, in a sense, controls North Korea. China has kept North Korea on a leash for a long time.
Well, what do you make of Kim Jong Un apologizing then for ignoring North Korea's poor, for neglecting their economy?
I have a hard time wrapping my head around this. This is a man who used artillery shells to execute people he didn't like. The conclusions that I come to are that he has seen how Russia has been economically isolated in its war, and I think he realizes that if he's going to go to war, he has to have a stronger economy. He's known his economy has been bad, and he hasn't cared, and now he does. And the question is, why does he care now?
Well, it seems the North Koreans care about it, especially those that are hungry, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Dale Hurd, thank you for your insightful reporting and your excellent analysis. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ongoing gunfire and dead bodies in the streets. Government collapse and gang violence in Haiti have caused more than 1,000 Americans to explore the possibility of safely getting out. Well, joining us with an update is Dr. David Vanderpool. He's founder of Live Beyond in Haiti, a ministry that provides medical care for the people there. Dr. Vanderpool, thanks for being with us. So what's the latest in Port-au-Prince, Haiti?
Well, it's a difficult situation. This is a sovereign country. And so just going in and as a force to rescue people is difficult. And the State Department has listed Haiti as a very dangerous country, do not travel, a level 4 country. For at least 4 years. And so when the State Department says don't go, that's probably a good idea not to be there. We actually pulled out in 2021 and because of the violence. And so it's a difficult situation to operate in. It's a difficult situation to be rescued in or to be in that problem.
But you have contacts on the ground there, workers, I'm sure, and they know what's going on. So what are they telling you? Gang leader Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier said he'd stop the violence once the prime minister stepped down, and Prime Minister Henry announced he'd be stepping down once a transitional presidential council's formed. So is the violence continuing or is it subsiding?
Oh, it's continuing. In fact, the homicide rate doubled last year. And then January of this year saw 1,000 people killed. And so that's an incredible increase in homicides, mainly gang oriented. And so Mr. Cherizier is the leader of the G9 gang, which is the largest family of gangs there in Haiti. They control some 80% of Port-au-Prince. And he's made his living killing people and terrorizing the population. So it's hard to imagine that there's going to be much change. I doubt he's has much political views on that.
Well, the Haitian Prime Minister stepped down, meeting the demand, or says he will step down, of Jimmy Barbecue. So is Jimmy Barbecue in charge now? Who's running the country?
Well, that's a great question. And there are two people that are probably saying they're running the country. I don't think the country's being run at all. And so that's sort of a side issue. But Guy Philippe is a man who actually led the coup d'etat against Aristide in 2004. He was in jail in the United States for money laundering and drug distribution. He had a 9-year sentence. He was released early and then repatriated to Haiti. And so he's back up to his old tricks of coup d'etat. And so he and Jimmy Shares, they are sort of banding together to overthrow the government. I doubt it's going to be for positive benefit to the people. Having a drug lord lead the country is probably not a great idea.
Well, they've had a problem with drugs for many years now. So what do these militias want? New elections? Many people believe even with a transitional presidential council, long-term political unity and success is unlikely there when you have this drug culture.
Right. It's doubtful that they want some kind of democracy. They probably would be more interested in taking over the country and ruling unilaterally. I doubt that it's going to be a benefit for the country to have drug lords run it.
Well, the UN says, as a result of all this, 5.5 million people, half of those living in Haiti, need humanitarian assistance. Many are starving, actually. What can our viewers do, and how should we pray?
We need to pray. That's really the biggest thing that can be done, is to pray for peace in Haiti. Right now, we operate a large hospital, a surgical hospital there in Haiti, a school. We have a big nutrition program. At one point, we were feeding 8,000 hungry children a day out of our location. And now that we can't ship food in anymore because of the gang activity. So these gangs have really limited the ability to provide humanitarian aid in the country. And many, many people are suffering. They're starving to death. We're seeing children who are losing weight in great numbers. And so it's a huge humanitarian problem right now.
Can you get any aid in at all, anywhere? I mean, maybe bypassing Port-au-Prince, somewhere else in other parts of the country?
All of the ports are controlled by the gang. And so even if we did get things in, the gangs would steal it on the way to trucking it to our base. And so that's the big problem.
If you brought trucks in from the Dominican Republic, they just confiscate them.
They just confiscate, and then coming from the port. So we were able to ship things in through air until recently the airport was closed because of gang activity. And so I think these gangs are demonstrating that they are trying to harm the country, not benefit the country. If they were trying to benefit, they'd be out distributing food to hungry children.
So what should we pray?
We need to pray that good, democratic, reasonable, uncorrupted leadership exists in Haiti, and they're able to get rid of the violence. The violence has to go first. We really can't establish a democracy in the face of ongoing violence. But then once that the violence is at least at a minimal level, have democratic elections. Parliament needs to be reinstated. There's no parliament in. The president was assassinated. And so there's no president. Henri was not elected or appointed. And so he's actually in government extra constitutionally as well. So we need to have some form of duly elected democratic government in place.
So we'll pray that God pours his spirit out on Haiti. Dr. David Vanderpool, Life Beyond in Haiti, thank you for providing us with the update.
Thank you so much.
Is Noah's Ark just a fun Bible story to share with your kids about how cute giraffes and elephants, other animals, were ushered into a big boat and saved from a flood? Was the flood a catastrophe of global proportions, or just localized somewhere in the Middle East? Well, the president of Genesis Apologetics, Dan Biddle, joins us to set us straight. He's executive producer of the new film, The Ark and the Darkness, unearthing the mysteries of Noah's flood. Dan, it's good to have you with us. So what does the research tell us? Briefly explain what are some of the most important scientific facts that validate the Bible's account of the Great Flood.
You know, there's a number of different ways to approach that. Our movie probably has 12 or 15 of the leading evidences, but I think one of the most compelling cases is actually brought through dinosaurs on both a small or a microscopic level and a large scale. When you look at dinosaurs from a microscopic perspective, over the last 50 years or so, there's been 120 peer-reviewed science journals that have substantiated 16 different varieties of bioorganic tissues that have been found in dinosaurs, indicating that they really can't be millions of years old. From a large scale, we just have the extent of the dinosaur fossil record. So, for example, in the middle of America, actually covering about 1/5 of continental United States, about 20%, we have the Morrison Formation, which is 13 interconnected states spanning over 600,000 square miles, and it's filled with dead dinosaurs, filled with marine life, all mixed up together. How could you do that without a worldwide flood? Because this formation's 300 feet thick, worth of a mud pancake. So a 300-foot thick mud pancake spread over 13 states definitely screams, Noah's flood.
Well, I've always found it astonishing, amazing, that some scientists reject the idea that the flood happened on a global scale when, as you say, we've got fossilized evidence of sea creatures discovered on North American mountaintops. So tell us more about that, the marine life and the fossil evidence.
You know what's really amazing is it's not just North America. It's pretty much every continent has high mountain ranges, and there are sea life fossilized on the tops of mountaintops. You've got Mount Everest at 29,000 feet high. There's fossilized limestone up there with marine life that just goes for spans. Most high mountain ranges have sea life from the tectonics that were going on during the flood and immediately after. So it's quite an obvious thing. It's not just America, it's every continent. Scientists have got it down to what we call the 6 SLOS mega sequences. We can now really pin what happened in the flood, the different stages that it went through, but it produced billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth.
And those who doubt the biblical account point out there are about 8 million species of animals in the world, and the ark was about 1.5 football fields in length and taller than a 4-story house. So still, how could Noah possibly fit all those animals onto an ark and feed them for a year? How do you respond to that?
Yes, we get that a lot. Well, let's just take a quick review of 4 different animal varieties. If you have dogs, there's 339 breeds of dogs, but they all go back to a pair of wolves, Canis lupus. If you look at the horse kind, same thing, 335 breeds of horses, but they're all interfertile. They're all the same kind. Chickens, 68 breeds of chickens. They're all still interfertile. All you need is a set of chickens. Look at the bear family, the Ursidae family. There's 5 of the 8 species in the bear family are still interfertile. You can take a black bear and breed it with a brown bear and breed it with a polar bear. So when you quickly scale back the animal tree like that, going from 300 dog breeds down to a pair and 68 chickens to a pair, you can reduce all the animals that you need on the ark just about 7,000 and put them on the ark just 4,500 years ago. They get off the ark and rapidly speciate afterwards, but you can reduce the number of animals needed on the ark to just about 7,000.
Why do you think more churches aren't studying or teaching these biblical truths about the Great Flood?
I think the main reason is because their members come in and they're saturated with the world's view on biology and the age of the earth and dinosaurs, and it's such a shock effect to people to go through the learning process of releasing the world's narrative of who we are, where we came from, how we got here, and taking on and embracing the biblical narrative. It takes time and it takes the Holy Spirit to help people understand that that the Bible's version of Earth history is a true one, and to shed the world's one. And sometimes for new believers, it's a really shocking, hard thing to go through.
Dan, what's the takeaway then, quickly? What do you want people to come away with after viewing the film?
I think it's really straightforward. Our message is to wake people up, to help them understand that Noah's flood is real history. God judged the world in the past, and there's going to be a future judgment coming, and we want them to be ready for it. That's why we present the gospel in the film in a really strong way.
Okay, where can people see the film?
They can go to noahsflood.com, so plural, but without the apostrophe S, so just noahsflood.com, and you can click there to see showtimes. Ticket sales are going crazy. There's a number of theaters that are selling out, so I would recommend getting your tickets quickly, but we're in about 1,000 theaters nationwide this Wednesday, March 20th, and Thursday, the 21st only.
Okay, the film is The Ark and the Darkness, Unearthing the Mysteries of Noah's Flood. Dan Biddle, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
In the UK, the National Health Service has prohibited the use of puberty blockers for gender-confused children. The decision was made after an independent review concluded that there is insufficient evidence to support the safety or clinical effectiveness of puberty-suppressing hormones, making the treatment unavailable at this time. A study published in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy in 2023 found that puberty blockers are associated with poor mental health in gender-confused children. And more than 1/3 of trans youth taking the hormones have experienced a decline in their mental health. Additionally, there are other health issues to consider, such as sterility, hormone dependency, and regret. At the same time as a British government ban, a Christian artist was barred from exhibiting at Watford Museum in northwest London after commenting that changing a child's sex is harmful. Victoria Kulf was reported to the police for expressing her views to a local city council employee.
It was a casual conversation over a cup of tea that I wasn't expecting to have, mother to mother, because she was really concerned about her child. I feel it's very important to be truthful, even if it's slightly uncomfortable. And I don't think we beat people over the heads with our Bibles, but I think if you're pushed into a corner when you're making a cup of tea and someone tries to get you to go along with a really harmful ideology that's sort of grooming and abusing children, I think it's right to gently say no and why.
Really, folks? This woman was reported to the police and her exhibit shut down because her Christian views on gender offended someone? To my British friends, now you know why the American colonists fought a war against the crown. It's all about freedom. In this case, the liberty to speak the truth about science and faith, free from cancel culture and castigation. Well, that's it today from the Global Lane. Be sure to follow us on the CBN News and NRB channels, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Rumble, and now on Spotify. And until next time, be blessed.